I mean, we can argue that, for example, Tudor state. We can differentiate between Tudor dynasty and Tudor state, but there is something more like beyond that. There was English state in the sense that there were state institutions which consisted of centers of powers like the feudal lords, Christian church and its bureaucracy, Catholic Church and its bureaucracy, and later on, Anglican Church and its bureaucracy, education system, parliament even, and legal traditions, and institutions, different institutions of the state, like treasury and all those. They were not necessarily tied to the Tudor state as such. They transcended Tudor state in the sense that they existed before them, even though Tudors transformed them and used them, and they also existed after Tudors were no longer there, in the Stuart dynasty and all those things, and later on. So that distinction between particular dynasty and the state and particular people like Henry VIII is important, but you can't reduce British state to him. And even Tudor state itself existed within the larger context of an English state, which persisted, which existed before the Tudors and which existed even after the Tudors, even though Tudors and people afterwards, transformed that state into something more complex. But you can't reduce English state, which was sort of captured by Henry VII by establishing a new dynasty. We can't reduce that state to a particular Tudor dynasty or its functionaries or its personnel. The state existed during that transformation, before that transformation, and after that dynasty was established, and even after that. Okay. So what I'm trying to say is that to say that it enabled the concept of a legal person enabled the emergence of a political entity whose existence was not tied to the existence of a particular person or particular groups. We can say that you didn't need the concept of legal person for the state to exist beyond a particular group and beyond a particular political entity. Because if we consider a state as I do, an aspect of society, society has two aspects: voluntary aspect and more what should we call it? And the aspect of compulsion. Even though you're talking here about legitimate form of compulsion or coercion is the better word, I think. That's the word I was looking for. So these two aspects of society. So society persists even when particular dynasties change or particular groups change hands. So the state can exist as something permanent because society exists as something permanent beyond the groups which constitute it and beyond individuals which constitute it. Okay, so the state was an entity that was more durable. So is the society, which is more basic than any state. Any state presupposes society, and I think the state, in a particular sense, is an aspect of a society. Whether or not this advantage was that caused the state to emerge, it seems clear enough that such an entity did come into being. The modern state represent a different form of governance than was under European feudalism or in modern Roman Empire or in the Greek city-state. True enough, because it's a capitalist form of governance, but that doesn't mean that there was no Greek state, or there was no Roman state, or there was no European feudal states. In fact, the modern state is, in many aspects, continuation and more a complex development of those earlier states. Okay, let's stop here and we'll continue from here, inshallah. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk wa sallallahu ta'ala ala sayyidina Muhammad wa alihi wa sahbihi wa azwajihi wa dhurriyyati ajma'in bi rahmatika ya arhamar rahimin.